All right, let's talk about recurring and frequency of payments. I am on my ACH payment list. I'm going to create a new payment. I'll leave it as a PPD, so I'm going to send a payment to an individual. I'm going to add a recipient. Once I have all my recipients, I'm going to go to next, which takes me to the processing detail page. I'm going to select my funding account. I can review my company ID information that's brought over automatically. And I'm not going to add a memo, but now I get down to the frequency. So my options are to leave it as single, and that just creates a one-time payment. I can create an occasional payment, which means once it's approved and in process, that first payment, it's going to create a copy of the payment. Once it creates that copy, it's going to retain the payment name, but it will have no payment date on it. So it's going to appear in the ACH activity list as not scheduled. Or I can pick recurring. Once I pick recurring, I do have an option to auto approve all payments in that series. And it's not going to approve the first payment in the series. That one always has to be looked over basically and approved as needed. But if I do pick auto approve, once I get past the first payment in the series, the next payments in line will automatically be approved. Now, if you have more than one approver needed per payment, it's only going to do that approval for the first approver. So if 3 approvers are required for a payment, approvers number 2 and number 3 are still going to have to approve the payment, but approver number 1 doesn't have to worry about it anymore. The next thing I can do on recurring is to select my frequency selection. So I have lots of options here: daily, monthly, every other week, first and last business day of the month, yearly. I'm going to select daily. My first payment date, I want it to be on February 1st. I do want to set an end date. If I don't set an end date, it's just going to keep creating a payment daily in perpetuity. If I wanted to stop it, since I didn't set an end date, the next payment that's in line to be processed, if that is deleted, it will basically stop the train on the payments. But I can set an end date. So I'm going to set, let's see, we'll set it for the 6th. I can do a recurring payment preview. So now it shows me, and I would have expected 4 payments to happen. So the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, it's not going to send a payment on the 5th and the 6th, which is a Saturday and Sunday, but it will, send it on the Monday too, because that's my end date. I could have changed my frequency here to a month, and really there's only one payment that might happen to the month. This recurring payment preview will show up to the next 6 instances within the series. And you probably see this note down here, which is very important. I am in a credit payment right now, and maybe I selected monthly and I selected that the end date should be, I don't know, the 5th. And maybe 3/30 is actually a weekend. And it tells me by a little icon that I now have to pay attention because this payment is going to have to move. So if it's a credit payment, it's going to be, that credit payment is going to go out on the prior business day. So if this payment was scheduled to go out on Saturday, it would go out on Friday. Now, conversely, if it's a debit payment or a collection, instead of going out on Saturday or Sunday, it's not going to go out on Friday. It's going to go out on the following business day. So credits will always go the previous business day if it falls on a weekend or a holiday. And debits will go on the following business day if it's a weekend or holiday. So I will leave that monthly. I'm going to add a name. I'll just leave it boring. I can add a description. I can mark it as confidential. You can treat recurring just like any other payment, send a pre-note. I'm going to submit my payment. I'm not going to approve from here. I just want to go find that payment. So now I see it down here. Here's recurring. I can click recurring. It looks like my other payment details. However, my payment frequency now says monthly. One thing we will add, so you will see this upon the release, is there will be a pipe similar to Buffalo Mountain pipe, and then the ID, it'll be monthly pipe, and then it'll say end on, and it'll have the date. I do have an occasional that was set up, so I'm going to look for that, Apple 200. So here is my first Apple one, which I made a copy. So you can see I have, it tells you exactly what's happening with your payment. So Apple 200 was a copy of another payment. I renamed it and I made it an occasional payment. So this was the first payment that went out. And now once this payment, and it is in process, once it went into in process, it made another copy here. So now you see it has the notation recur of, it tells me it's a recurrence of this payment. And I know it's an occasional because it's date not set and not scheduled. And if I want to, I can go in and edit that, put in a date, and then, you know, goes through the approval process just like any other payment. So I'm going to remove this filter. The other one I have is recur 10. So this one was set up as a daily, and you can see my original down here. And then every instance says recur of, and it tells you, and you can see they go in line here. So recur of, so here's my original 262, and now it's here's the recur of 262. And then that created a new tracking number of 270, and now I see a recur of 270. So it kind of goes on and on like that until I did set an end date on this. So the February 3rd was the last one in the line. So that is recurring and frequency payments.